Real fast, I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Upworthy Weekly. It's a lighthearted news podcast. It comes out on Saturdays, and I have forced my co-host, Todd Perry, to join me here to help me tell you about our new venture. Todd, why should they listen?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, they think, oh, it's the Upworthy podcast. It's just going to be sunshine and it's going to be unicorns. But you know what? It's really not that. Allison doesn't have the ability. She doesn't have it in her to actually be that person that I thought we were hiring when we did this show. But clearly, after just a couple episodes, the facade dropped. Okay? I thought, she's doing the Upworthy show. It's not going to be like, oh, neurotic, cynical Allison, but no, she's there. So, I try to counteract that with some of my good vibes.
I would argue that if one person is coming off as a little bit cynical and unhinged right now, it's not me.
It comes out every Saturday, wherever you get podcasts.
Bye. Hello, everyone. Before the show officially starts, I just wanted to get on here real quick and explain the episode you're about to hear is not brand new. It is a rerun, but a fantastic, fabulous, important rerun because it is from, and I'm looking right now, it was posted on March 9th, 2014. So we got married March 7th, 2014. This must have been recorded before the wedding, though. It had to have been. This was the very first time that Daniel ever came on the show because, as you may know from the lore, Daniel, when I first met him, was like, just so you know, I'm not the kind of person who would ever want to be interviewed or be on your show or blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be in videos. I'm a private person. We get into that in this episode. But slowly I broke him. And this is when that first crack happened. At this point, I was still on the Carolla show. So this was recorded in the warehouse, in the old studio. And you will hear some old familiar voices. Also, speaking of voices, I feel like actually Daniel and my voices sound a little bit different, which is interesting. Full disclosure, excuse me, I've got some holiday phlegm. Full disclosure, I have not yet listened to the entire episode as I sit here talking to you about the episode. So, in a sense, we will be traipsing down memory lane together. But I just thought you might enjoy hearing this seminal first episode. Let's see. When you hear this, it will be after Christmas. As I sit here, it's a couple days before. I hope your holiday season is going okay. I feel like when you're an adult, holidays are a real mixed bag. And when I was young, I was always like, only X many days left of the season. I mean, I looked forward to Christmas and then I didn't want the season to be over. And I find myself a little bit looking forward to this being over. I hate that. That's not just me or everyone. All right. I love you. You know I love you. You're the best. I'm just going to mention Patreon briefly because I didn't mention it back then because it didn't exist yet. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. All sorts of fun stuff. Go there. Okay. I love you. Here's the episode. P.S. Me again. Actually, we got married March 8th, 2014, not March 7th. No one tell Daniel. Okay, here's the episode. I mean, don't tell him that I said that. You can tell him when we actually got married. This actually makes me wonder if he knows the date of when we got married. And I'm just going to use my phone to call him right now and find out. You guys can be here with me. Just grabbing my phone. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
Hey.
Hi. So I'm recording a topper for the first episode that you were ever on of my show, which is going to run on Monday. And I just have a question. Do you know when what's the date of our anniversary?
March 8th, 2014.
Oh, I bet you think you're pretty smart.
Was this a test?
Excuse me. All this holiday phlegm. Yes, a test of sorts. Because I passed the test with flying colors, and I just wanted to see if you also would pass the test with flying colors, and it seems you did.
Trauma tends to make you remember certain things.
I thought it's the opposite. But no, I guess you're right. Like, important dates are seared into your memory.
Yeah.
I have a question, honey. What do you remember that first episode?
I sort of do. I mean, I don't really remember details about it.
What do you remember of it?
Well, I remember recording it. I guess that's it. That's all I remember.
How did you feel about it? The experience. Do you remember?
Afterwards, you mean?
Sure. During, after. I'm looking for some color here.
I think I was a little nervous going into it. But I feel like it went well. And I was happy with the response that it got, for sure. It sort of created a monster.
The one that I'm now talking to and now married to?
Yep.
Okay.
No, it was fun to do, actually.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about it.
Yeah, because you were pretty anti coming on the show.
Yeah. I just wasn't super interested in being a public figure, you know?
And now you can't get enough.
Yeah, now I'm just a vain, Hollywood-ized, jerk.
Daniel got recognized at Descanso Gardens the other night.
Listen, I get recognized all over the place.
You do?
No.
All right, well, this has been great. Thanks, honey. I'll see you inside shortly.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Well, turns out he does know the date. Ever since we got married, for some reason, I'm always wondering, was it the 7th or the 8th? I think it's because the rehearsal was the 7th, so I have both of those dates seared in my memory. That happens to you guys too, right? All right, anyway, for real now, here's the episode.
Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison Rosen, Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to a very special episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I have convinced Daniel, who, as I speak, is my fiance, but when you hear this, if all goes as planned, will be my husband. It's the second time I've used that word in like the last couple hours, and it feels very weird. Anyway, I've convinced him to come on the show. He always said that he would come on the show at some point, but he always pushed it off. And then I realized I feel like we need to have a whole My Fiancé Daniel week, which is this week. As you hear this, he will be on this show you're about to hear, and he'll be on the Thursday show. We actually just recorded the Thursday show, so we are a little bit out of order. You will not be out of order. Daniel, hello.
Hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm anxious.
Don't be anxious.
Yeah, this is just weird for me. That's all. I'm
Right.
not used to it.
You're-
I think the only reason I didn't do your show earlier, though, isn't because I'm shy. It's just because I work and it's hard to get over here.
I've described you as shy before, haven't I?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't think I'm shy. I think I'm private.
Right.
I'm not used to, just getting up in front of everybody and broadcasting details of my life, but you've made me more used to it.
I feel like it's not that I made you used to it. It's that this is whose phone is that yours? I'm losing my mind. I'm probably hearing things that aren't even there. I thought what it sounded like is like someone, that thing when you like hold the button down too long and then you get the "Can I help you?" Siri.
Oh, I didn't hear
Sounds
that.
like Siri being activated. Anyway, I feel like it's less that I've like gotten you used to being open as much as you realized you can't fight it. There it is again. You heard that
that
too,
me?
right? It might be you.
That one I heard.
It is.
Oh, fucking Siri. I swear to God. Siri starts talking to me randomly throughout the day. They need to make this so that you can have it in your pocket and not have Siri butt the fuck in.
Siri comes in even when your phone's on silent.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
then
bad.
Siri will be like, I did not understand what you're saying. I say, no shit, Siri. I didn't ask you to talk. Sorry.
It's okay.
Hi.
Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, have I forced you into dealing with it?
Yeah.
Is it
I
has
think
it been
that's
weird?
accurate. I think at first it was because I was trying to find the line. You know, it was just I don't know what it is. I think at first you don't want things to be disclosed that might be embarrassing or might be, you know, too one-sided or inaccurate, or might involve other people or what. And then I just kind of realized that there's nothing you would say that, as you know, because I think at first I started to try to draw lines, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like, you know, don't talk about this or whatever. And
At first, you know, you were trying to sort of come up with, here is what I feel comfortable with you talking about, here's what I don't, and it was, you didn't want to discover anything about how I felt on the podcast if it involved you. Like if it was some kind of issue that we were having, you wanted me to talk to you about it as opposed to finding out about it from the podcast, right? Does that ring a bell?
yeah.
And there may have been a few other things or whatever, and I remember I was like tearing myself up inside because I would come home and I'd be like, okay, I have to tell you something on the podcast. And you would then get nervous and I would tell you, and you would still be nervous because I had this weird energy about it. And then you'd hear it and you'd be like, oh yeah, that was nothing. And then we realized maybe it would have been better if I felt like I had to warn you of everything that could potentially bother you. And then that ended up kind of creating more Sturm und Drang, if I'm using that correctly, in our relationship. Not in our relationship, but just for both of us, it was stressing both of us out. And then I remember, and it was like a very happy moment for me, or it was a relief. You said to me, you know what, I trust you, just use your own judgment. And that was like such a gift to me because I had really been locked up on like the spirit, on the letter of what we,
Right.
you know, I was like literally trying to make sure I was doing what you had asked.
Right. Yeah, I think you almost always make it kind of about yourself anyway, so it's not. And I don't mean that like about, but you know, it's like you're talking about your
embarrass
experience of
myself.
things.
I don't say embarrassing things about you.
Yeah, I think that I think what I was really worried about was being made to look like a schmuck, or having things discussed on the podcast that were, you know, we're still working out. Mm-hmm. You know, like if it was a disagreement we had or a fight or something like that, although we don't really fight, but just something where there was some tension about it, you know, talk to me first and let's resolve it. But I don't think there's ever been anything you've mentioned where I've really had a problem.
Is there anything you want to set the record straight about, though?
Yeah, I was thinking like there's probably like 24 things that I would want to set the record straight about, but I don't remember what any of them are for the most part, because I think if I kept record of them in my head, it would drive me insane. So I tried to just like let it go. I think the recent I can think of recently with the cake.
Okay. The wedding cake.
The wedding cake, when you made it sound like it was this disgusting cake that I liked. And I would just like to say for the
one
record,
that tasted like just butter on bread,
Right.
which actually I would
to-
like, but not when I'm told it's cake.
No,
It
it was
tasted like
delicious.
Play-Doh. That's what I said.
It was a
tasted like.
delicious cake.
If you like Play-Doh.
I would just like to say that you like things sweet to like nuclear sweet. Like if anybody has
I
the
like
misfortune,
things that are chemically sweet.
Right.
I
If
don't
anyone
like
has-
sugar.
if anyone has the misfortune of tasting your coffee, like if they accidentally think it's their own coffee, their whole face would implode. Like one of those, you know, those pictures of that old man with no teeth where he sucks his lips into his face. Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you drink your coffee.
He had a sip of the coffee.
I don't know. You like things really sweet, and I think yes, it was buttery, but I think what you really weren't liking about it was that it didn't have enough sugar.
Right. But
But
I
I
would have
like-
preferred a buttload of Splenda, probably.
Yeah, but I like things that aren't so sweet. So But it's always stupid little things like that. Like, I don't think there's anything major. I can't even think of anything.
Well, there is a tiny thing that is not obviously not major because it's tiny. I told the story on the podcast of it was Valentine's Day. We went down to a party at my friend's house. I was in this just horrendous mood. It's so stupid. It sounds so stupid, but because I had a wedding dress fitting, and the wedding dress was like, what had happened was it was sitting too low on me, but I didn't realize it. So all of a sudden I was looking in the mirror and I was like, this thing that I once thought was so beautiful it doesn't look right at all. And then sort of like someone who gets way too much plastic surgery, we started like to try to fix things. We were putting all these pins in it, and it just was totally changing it. And it just felt like we have fucked up this dress. It doesn't look pretty anymore. And I just have to just suck it up. And like my mom, there was a thing with my mom, and I just couldn't really snap out of it. Went to a party, saw a bunch of my friends who I hadn't seen in a while, and afterwards I said to Daniel, I'm glad that we went. I'm glad we saw them because I feel better now. And you said, and I don't know exactly how you said it. By the way, the dress is now fine, though. It's fixed. I ended up calling them the next day and saying, don't do all the things that we thought we wanted. I realized I just needed to like unzip the dress, pull it up, zip it, and then it was fine. For anyone listening asleep over the dress. I am talking to myself. Okay. Anyway, you said that you wished you could be the one to make me happy sometimes.
Yeah.
No, that's not exactly how you said it.
No, I think I said something like, I wish I wish I could make you happy like that. Or
yes.
something like that.
Which, even when you say it now, I still hear it the way I originally heard it, even though we've talked about it and I know that you meant it in a different way.
Yeah.
Different way. Like so I talked about on the podcast this idea that it's weird, the person that you're with all the time, that you love with all your heart and that wants the best for you, sometimes like that person can't snap you out of your bullshit in the same way that seeing people you don't see that much can, because you sort of have to rise. You know, you're not going to like be a total wet napkin around them.
I think that where things got screwed up was I think I used the wrong tense. I mean, I think what I meant to say was I wish I could have made you happy rather than I wish I can make you happy. It made it sound like
I felt like this is not. I was like, God, you can't even let me be happy around my friend.
Right.
I thank God Brian's not here to turn that into a drop. I thought, why are you making me have to worry? Like, oh, I can't be happy without you feeling like, without you taking it personally. But then what I realized is you just meant it like in the way that you would say to someone who's sick, I wish I could make it all better.
yeah, and I think part of
Like,
it,
not like it wasn't about you. It was just, you were just saying you wished.
honestly,
I
it
could've
was something
felt
I
better.
said, and it wasn't something I was thinking, and then it wasn't something I thought about after I said it. It wasn't like
So you heard the podcast.
well, yeah, and I think that the reason I said it was that it was, it was circumstantial too. It was Valentine's Day, and the day, we had plans to go out for dinner, and then you were already down there in Orange County and changed plans. So I had driven down there, and when I got there, you were in that state where you were really worried about the dress and really unhappy, and I felt like we hadn't really connected that day. Which is fine, really, because honestly, this year Valentine's Day felt like a huge pain in the ass.
You said that you were not into Valentine's Day.
I was totally cool with the plans being changed. I don't want it to sound like I'm like,
But I definitely got the sense that Valentine's Day was not important to you.
Man,
like
if we could have just canceled it
you had
this
made
year.
reservations at a place for dinner because I said, let's do something.
Yeah, so I was actually totally happy with the change of plans. I love your friends. It was a fun party. But I think that I didn't get any of you that day. You weren't really connecting because you were really up in your head about the dress.
I'll see you at the wedding.
Right. That's fine. But I think when you said that,
I'm joking,
it made me.
but not.
Yeah, it made me. It just for a moment, it made me think that, and so that's why I said that. It was just like, oh, I wish I had some way of snapping you out of it. But I think, part of being in an intimate relationship is that you kind of, okay, this is a person that I can feel safe totally obsessing on these really dark thoughts or whatever with, and I don't have to rally and put on my game face which sometimes is that splash of cold water that shocks you out of something, which is what happened with your friends. Now, I can't do that because I'm the one that you're,
The genuine,
yeah.
not that fun self with. But did you mean it? Because, see, I wondered, we talked about this, but did you mean it like, I miss you? Like, did you mean it like, hey, can't you, I wish you were more pleasant around me?
No, I just meant it like I wish I had that magic, whatever way of snapping you out of something. Like, it's hard because you really, you get really upset, and so sometimes I just want to be like, hey, like put that aside for a second. Let's just, think about other things. But, I don't have any way of doing that. So that's what I think I was commenting on.
One time we were in Las Vegas. It was pretty early in our relationship. We got into an elevator. Do you remember this? And I saw myself in the mirror.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, is that how I look? So I feel like all women have body dysmorphia, but I feel like I have it more, maybe, or maybe we all have it the same degree. I don't know. But because I was overweight for so much of my life and my weight is like, it's always fluctuating. It's when I am nervous or when I'm anxious or just my weight is my go-to thing. Like if I have a meeting, it hasn't happened in a while, but like a meeting coming up, I'll step on the scale. And if it's like up a couple pounds, then I'll want to delay the meeting. And if it's down, then I'll be like, oh, I can go. And I mean, I feel like this is probably quite common, but I just don't see myself clearly. And I don't know, there's a lot of different ways in which I see myself, and sometimes I think I'm too generous to myself, and sometimes I'm too harsh, and I don't know which one is the correct one.
You're never too generous to yourself. You're way too hard on yourself.
But when I was like a big lump in high school, I would get crushes on these guys that I had no chance of being with, or someone would pay attention to me, and I would think they liked me, and they never did. It was like they were just being a human being or just being friendly. And I guess the thing is that I read signals wrong from guys. And therefore, in a way, it's like I thought that I was better than I was. That's the wrong terminology because that like suggests a value judgment. But I didn't see myself clearly in that scenario, I guess. And it's like I've been beating myself up for it ever since.
You think that's what it is? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
I would develop crushes on girls that were way out of my league. And in retrospect, it was a way of not having to. Yeah, you.
I'm kidding.
It was a way of not having to be in a relationship,
right?
Because I was really, as my mom would say, a late bloomer, and it's like I just wasn't. I didn't want to grow up fast.
Yes.
I think, and
I didn't want to get locked into having to be an adult.
Yeah, and a lot of very adult things were thrown in my face early on, and so I was not in any hurry to be part of that world.
Like what?
Well, my mom and my stepfather were kind of, I don't know, bohemian artists, and so I was around a lot of like just open talk about sexuality, just frank kind of sex and drugs not in any kind of weird.
Did you see sex?
I don't think so, but it was there. My mom and my stepdad would walk around naked all the time. It was just like I feel like, and he had in his art studio, he had all sorts of pornographic pictures all over the place and things, and it was just.
Tell them about, if you don't mind, tell them about the kitten one.
The kitten one? Which one?
Wasn't it like a cat in a jar?
Oh, yeah, we had a tool shed, and when you opened the door, he had a T-shirt that he'd stretched to display, and it was a picture of a cat in a jar, and it said, "Happiness is a tight pussy." And I just thought it was a cartoon cat. I was like, oh, that's a funny shirt. I had no idea what it meant, until I was like 13 or something. It was so innocent. But yeah, I think all that stuff was really scary and ugly to me and frightening because I was exposed to it so young. And So I think when I got into high school and all the kids were experimenting with stuff and doing drugs and drinking and partying and, dating and having sex, I was just like, I want to read comic books and be up in my head, and I don't want to worry about any of this stuff. So, yeah. What were we talking about?
I know, I forget how we got onto that. But what I was going to say, what I was saying before was we got into the elevator. We were talking about body dysmorphia and then how we saw ourselves in high school. So anyway, I got in the elevator and I looked in the mirror and I said, is that how I look? Because I couldn't tell if it was an unflattering mirror or not, because I just looked like so awful, so fat to me. And then you said, please don't do this right now. And I didn't. I stopped.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
No, that worked?
It's weird, yeah. Because
that was your one.
Damn it.
You burned it too early.
I forgot my trick.
Well, it's like sort of like, with a dog. They recommend that you sort of stop. Don't let them get into an excited state. Like stop, like redirect their energy. But you know what? It was early enough that I was like, yeah, we're
like
trying to have fun.
I can't do that now though because it seems rude. Like
I remember thinking, I'm amazed that worked and didn't bother me, but it worked, and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to put you through this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I have a hard time. I tend to want to take everything on, and so I don't know if it feels like if you were in a state and you were going through it, that I have to be there with you. I need to, help you through it, or I have to listen to you and that kind of stuff. For me to say, don't do that right now would seem, it wouldn't seem compassionate.
But that was also we were on a trip versus now, like it would happen in our office or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
You feel like you have to be in it with me. Do I make you feel that way?
Well, a lot of that is just codependency. A lot of that is just me feeling like I need to, take on every emotional state you take on. I mean, that's something that is very unhealthy that I'm trying to work on. But knowing what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate is something that I'm just trying to learn right now.
Do you feel that with everyone or with just me?
No. Yeah, just you. Give a shit about anybody else.
I didn't know that you let you look at it that. Well, I guess I did know that you look at it that way. Well, see, but do you think I'm the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we love each other.
If we weren't this way, though, yeah, I heard that too. If we weren't this way, would we still be together?
It's so hard to know because it's so hard to know how much of our personality, is affected by that kind of behavior. I don't know. Probably not.
Well, okay. I know what made me codependent, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if you have an idea of what made you that way. I'll go first. I've just always been kind of, I don't know, an empath or really empathetic, and that my kindness and my compassion was really applauded very early at a young age, and like that's kind of how I defined myself. It's like I'm just this, I'm your new best friend. Like there's this story of me being in preschool and this boy was crying, and I went up to him and I hugged him and I said, "What, what's wrong?" And like, his friend was playing with someone else, and I hugged him and I said, I'll be your friend." And also, I have parents who felt like no one ever listened to them growing up, and I just got trained really early to sort of read my parents' every mood and try to make up for everything life did wrong to them by just being this like to try to fill in all their empty spaces in a way, which is not healthy for a kid. It's not, but I think I can just walk into a room and I just feel what's going on, and take it on.
I think that codependency comes on when you have parents who are, when there's, and I'm not saying necessarily this is your case, but in mine, when there's chaos or when there's a lot of erratic behavior, when you have a especially like alcoholics or any kind of addict in the house, the child is, I think, forced to become super, super sensitive for their own survival. Because you have to know.
Because they have to be able to, in a minute, know what's
around
the corner. Yeah,
you just have to. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly bombarded with rage or something.
Yeah.
You don't know what's coming at you from whatever angle. So you end up, you step in the door at home. I mean, because I had a stepfather who was an alcoholic and an addict of a rainbow of different addictions. And I would come home from school and he would be maybe napping, and if he woke up, you had no idea what kind of mood it was going to be, whether it was going to be friendly or what he was just going to be this intense rage monster. And whatever it happened to be, though, you needed to survive and you needed to cater to him. So you needed to be extremely aware of whatever emotional state he was in. And so that is, I think that's where it comes from. It does for me.
Now I'm the rage monster.
No, but no, you're
No,
never.
but
No. But I mean, I think that I feel like I need to know on some deep level. I think I need to know where you are emotionally and be there with you.
That makes sense.
Because if I don't, then I'll be blindsided with something. Something will. I think. I don't know.
Well, in that way, we both have that. I just want to go back and say, I'm not a rage monster.
No,
I can be a cranky.
actually, I don't think.
I don't-
I don't think anger is something you actually express very often.
No,
I don't think that.
I'd
that's,
probably be better if I did. I think
Yeah.
both you and I are like that.
Yeah. I used to be more angry.
Right, you did go through, but
Mm-hmm.
before me, an angry. Right, so this is so interesting. You consider yourself an intense person,
Mm-hmm.
and I always say, no, you aren't, because I can't stand intense people. I can't be around them. I'm allergic to intensity. And so therefore I would never be with you if you were truly intense. Which is none of that is true, really.
I think you might be defining intense differently than me.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be defining it as a
Scary.
sort of a character. Yeah, like kind of a shade of rage. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But I mean intense more just like I'm a pretty passionate guy. It sounds like there's no way to say that without sounding like an idiot. But it's like like I feel things strongly.
You're sensitive.
Well, yeah, but I'm also like I like things to be bold. I like to, I'm not like a wilting flower. So that's all I mean. And I can come on strong like at work and in different parts of my life. I think I can intimidate people really easily without intending to. And that's kind of what I mean. I'm not projecting anger or anything, but I can project intensity.
See, that's so interesting. I think that you have this notion of yourself as almost like a bull in a china shop, like lumbering and just
Yeah.
not being nimble. But really, I don't see you at work, obviously, but you seem much more fluid socially than you think of yourself as. Like, I feel like you really can hold, like here we are at Corolla Digital, but you've been here numerous times. You've come into gatherings and parties and things where you've only known me and I've been otherwise occupied, and like you're totally fine. And you don't give off that I'm alone or insecure or someone help me vibe like at all. Maybe to a fault. Mm-hmm. Maybe to a fault you come. We've talked about this. I mean, to a fault you might think you are overly independent.
Yeah, well, I think this gets to the difference between how I think of myself in the world and the reality. I mean, there's a huge gulf, So I think that I tend to think of myself as someone who doesn't fit in and doesn't know how to behave, and and yet I think that I'm if I'm being objective, I think I'm pretty good at that stuff. It's just that it's hard for me to let that become part of my, worldview, I guess, or my belief system.
Why?
Well, I think that it's. I feel like you know the answer.
I actually don't right now.
It's because I think as a child, this is something that I've learned in therapy because I just started. You got me into therapy. It's funny because I always thought I don't need to go to therapy. I'm fine, and then I start going to therapy. It's like, oh wait, The whole way I see the world is wrong.
I got you into therapy?
Maybe not got me into it, but I think I got into it because I wanted to make sure that the relationship worked and that my shit was taken care of. Like, I don't want to keep making the same mistakes. And so I realized that something is not working the way, like I realized there was a difference between the way I thought things should be and the way they were kind of turning out. And so I wanted to see if I could get at some sort of concept of what's wrong in the way that I'm perceiving myself. And I have. And basically, it has to do with the fact that my parents were very, very young when they had me. I mean, my mom was 19, I think. My dad was 20. It was a total accident. They were in college. And, they got married. They tried to make it work for like a year or so. And then they got a divorce. And it was always, my mom always let me know that she loved me. But it was clear to me as a child that their lives would have been better, or at least this is what I felt. I don't think this is actually true, but their lives would have been better if I hadn't existed. So, because my mom was in a relationship with the guy I was mentioning, and
The tight pussy guy.
Yeah, and he was always jealous if she ever put me above him. So and he was like I said, he was a very angry man.
An awful guy.
And so my mom would have to spend all her time. She worked 2 jobs. I mean, she worked really long hours. So whenever she was home, she was always with him and catering to his needs. And as a result, I was just on my own. I was alone, and I was, for lack of a better word, I was kind of neglected. My dad would always tell me that I would have been a writer if it hadn't been for you, but I had to go to law school. And so, and I think for him, there was an implication. Of course, I love you, but he wouldn't say that. The message to me was just, oh, your life would have been a lot better had I not been born. And so I think,
was he trying to express to you, look what I've done for you, or what do you think what do you think he was trying to express? Do you have an idea?
Oh boy, I really don't know. I think that my feeling, I could be wrong, is that my dad has trouble with, I think people can hold 2 contradicting emotions. And I think my dad does that, and it causes him a great amount of guilt. I think he struggles with it because he doesn't want to feel the negative stuff. He does love me. I know my dad loves me, but at the same time, I think he may feel that, is that my headphones?
I'm hearing it too. No, it's not. It's just
okay.
It's just a thing.
Because I don't want to make it.
No, it's not you.
I think he may feel like a series of things happened to my dad where his life didn't go the way he wanted it to. He had health problems and he had to move, and then he had me. And I think, I think that he's on some level kind of has resentment about that, or feels angry that he didn't have more control over the direction of his life. And I think to him, me being born was part of that. I think if I were to say that to him, he would be horrified to think that I took it that way, because I think, well, of course I love you. That goes without saying. But, a child doesn't interpret things like that in that way. So, I think I understand his resentment. And I don't hold it against him that he's resentful. I think that he feels guilt about it. But anyway, I think that whatever your belief system is as a young child, it's like the operating software on your computer. So from then on, everything in school, high school, and afterwards the software was running on that program, which was you were a mistake and you don't belong in this world. And so this is a really fundamental answer to that question, which is why. But it's like when I'm in a social situation, I feel like I don't belong. I feel like this isn't, like I'm not supposed to be here. That's really where it's all coming from. So that's what I'm working on.
Do you feel like reaching out to me in your relationship with me and stuff, like how how do you square that with that operating software?
Well, I mean, I think I became aware of it enough to try to push against it, you know. And I think with you, you know, I think I had enough of a sense of self-respect and a desire to be happy in this world that I could push against those feelings, even though I would have them in the back of my head, you know. So it was like with you, I think I was I just felt such a strong, overwhelming sense that I needed to know you. Like it was this weird, it was like almost, I felt like I was going insane.
Well, so for listeners who don't know how we met, you heard me on the Adam Carolla show?
Yeah, well,
Well, no, you knew of me before that.
Yeah,
right?
I saw you on Red Eye once, and I followed you on Twitter, and then I promptly unfollowed you on Twitter.
Because I tweeted too much?
I don't know. Well, I think I didn't really know who you were. Like, I followed you, and then I didn't see you again and then I would get all these tweets from you. I'm like, who is this person? Yeah, and it was so just...
But were you like, wait, why did I follow you again?
I think I was just trying to pare down all the people I followed the people I knew.
sense.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
And and then maybe 9 months later, you were on the Adam Carolla show.
But you watched my Ustream show once or twice, right?
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Then
I
you
thought it was
unfollowed
cool. Yeah, then I quickly unfollowed you. Like, I didn't hesitate. It was just bam.
Right.
I don't want any more of these. Every Sunday. Jesus.
Right, it was every Sunday.
Yeah, so then you were on the Adam Carolla show, which I listened to, and enjoyed you on that. And then, without getting into details, I just read. One morning, something happened
In your life.
in my life, that was really hard. It was emotional and scary, and I was just trying to process it. And so I don't know why. I went onto your blog. I was just reading your blog post, and you had a lot of, you know, you have your voice is very light and upbeat and funny,
Loud.
and then you had one that was that way at first, but then I felt became really poignant and moving, and I could see how good a writer you are. Like, I was just really impressed with how well written it was. Because with a blog, it's such a dashed off thing, you know. It's like it's just a blog post, whatever. But it actually showed that you had a mind for being able to construct something that took you somewhere, which is really hard to do as a writer, and it was really good. And so I sent you an email, just because as a writer myself, I think, you know, you might want to hear something, some feedback. And then I think after that is about around that time when I was reading your blog. That's when I started to feel like you and I started watching more of your videos. I felt like, boy, she and I would really get along. Like, it was just this, which is not something I feel ever. So it's so rare, that level of certainty, that I felt I had to make some attempt to. And I remember talking to my mom. I'm like, I think I'm going insane because there's this person, and she's, you know, she's a celebrity, and I don't, you know, but what am I doing? Am I avoiding life? You know, and
Right. You thought maybe here you are with your commitment or avoidance issues, and how perfect you've set your sights now on someone that you have no chance of meeting. What are you doing?
It goes back to what you were saying, what we were talking about with, you know, falling for, you know, having a crush on someone that's out of your league. But I didn't feel you were out of my league. I felt you were just someone.
What? Just kidding.
I felt. Hey, listen, if I had felt you were out of my league, I would have been too intimidated to do anything. I think.
It's been great.
All right, you're out of my league. Jesus. That doesn't.
I'm kidding, Ish.
I have a high enough opinion of myself that. No, I mean out of my league in the sense that it was impossible to make contact with you. Not that you aren't beautiful and amazing. Oh boy. Yeah. See, this is what I was afraid of. I would say something that.
I'm kidding.
No, I know you are. So I think that. What was I saying now?
You were talking to your mom, and you were saying you feel like you're going crazy, and maybe you're avoiding things.
No, so it wasn't that. What I was saying is that it felt like you were just. It was more that you were someone that I had no way of getting to know. I mean, it was like we're standing on two, sides of the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's not like we had any mutual friends. I don't. Like, it just felt like this. What the fuck am I doing? Like, this person is not someone I can get to know. So why am I making it this thing that I want to do? But I oh, is that it? See, my phone has.
That's so weird, though, because usually cell phones don't.
That was an educated guess. We'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. No apologies necessary.
First Siri and now.
Then the comment.
Chris and I
about-
just wanted to look at pictures of
Yeah,
Oscar.
go for
of
it.
Oliver.
Oliver, sorry. Shit.
No, I feel like I've called him Oscar before too.
Okay.
It's
Well,
a
then
good
I feel
it's a
better.
good alternate name.
Oscar.
Yeah.
I never call him Oliver.
No.
Ollie.
No, I call him.
Okay, so his his middle name is Peanut. Oliver Peanut Rosenquantz, but we call him the Nut or
the
Nut.
Nut.
But it sounds like we're saying he's a lunatic, but really it's just short for
He's just the nut.
yeah.
It fits.
Well, but that's not. There's other names you call him as well.
Yeah.
Care to share any of them?
Oh, Jesus. Panucius.
Yeah.
Snoosh. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of. I don't know what I'm calling him these days.
I don't know, but I know that
Nutski, the nut.
Lovington
Nutinsky.
Sweets.
Lovington Sweets. Well, yeah, Lovington Sweets. No one is enjoying this.
I am, but you're right. We just thanks for listening, people who had been listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so you felt like
Yeah, I just
what
felt,
are you doing?
Yeah, I felt like I'm not going to be able to get to know this person, but at the same time, it
And
felt
you-
like it felt like I was going to. That was the weird, but that's why I felt like I was going a little crazy because it felt like intellectually I know that this can't happen, but emotionally it felt like I was going to.
What? Why?
I don't know. Because I think meeting someone that I feel I would have that I feel it's like a recognition kind of like, oh, here's a person that I get I get every beat of what she's saying. That's how I think. I would be on the other side of that conversation and we would get along. I never feel that with anybody. So it's just like it just felt like that's not gonna happen with someone that I'm not eventually gonna know.
That shows a lot of faith in the universe, so to speak.
Yeah. I do
think
have a
that-
lot of faith. I have that kind of weird faith. I mean, I would not still be here in Los Angeles if I didn't. So yeah. So that's what it was. I don't know. But it feels like insanity before it becomes reality. And then it just seems like, you had it all figured out or something. I don't know. But before I actually got to know you, I felt like I was going crazy.
Well, and also because you had been in a long-term relationship that you guys had broken up years before, but didn't you have this sense that maybe like you were holding out for something that that's maybe not realistic. Maybe you should have just hunkered down and settled down, and this thing that you thought you wanted is not realistic.
Yeah. I think that I think she and I were just different enough that it wasn't. I knew it wasn't gonna be right in for the rest of it. I remember someone telling me that you'll just know. Well, when do I know when I'm gonna get married? Like, how do I know that? Because I was struggling with it, And she's like, oh, you'll just know. And that just seemed like that kind of romantic bullshit people say, like love at first sight.
Who was that?
It was a woman that I work with. Sorry.
The chair is squeaking. It's okay.
Yeah, it felt like just one of those things that you'd see on a Hallmark card. Like, it just doesn't seem realistic. And that real life is generally more of a
Compromise.
Well, you just sort of you accept things and you make the best. I don't know, that makes it sound awful, but it's just like you
take what life gives you.
You take what life gives you instead of holding out for some sort of fairy dust to be sprinkled on you. You know, that. You know, it's sort of like, you know, you grow up watching romantic comedies and, you see, oh, all you have to do if you like a girl is chase after her in the rain and tell her how you feel. And then you do something like that in real life and you find out real fast that that is not how life works. And that is not, you know, I mean, yeah, like I once made a card for a girl on Valentine's Day in high school. I painted like a rose on it and I wrote a little poem in it. And I thought, because, you know, I was a romantic and I thought, oh, I'll just tell her how I feel. She didn't. She never talked to me again. Like that was the end of that friendship. So, but
did it rhyme?
I'm sure it was horrifically embarrassing and totally poorly written. But, yeah, I think that. But I think with you, it did feel that way, and so I was like, oh, okay. All right, this is something. This may be something real, except that I need to somehow get to know her. More about getting to know you than the other part. But once we got to know each other, then it really became like.
And the way that happened was, so you emailed. I've told this before, I think, but you emailed me, and I think maybe you had emailed me a couple times before that, like just jokes or things like this, real light things. But then the email where you were
trying to
talking
dazzle
about,
you with my comedy, yeah, it didn't work.
I mean, I get a lot of dazzling emails. So, but then I noticed when there was something very genuine and heartfelt, you had reacted to something I wrote, and it was like, you know, as a writer myself, I think you said that I would want to know if. You know, how something I wrote affected someone, so I thought I should let you know. And I wrote back right away, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. Something pretty formal.
Yeah, you were nice, though.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. I know that at some point we exchanged emails a little bit, and I know that when you asked me to be your Facebook friend, I know I had already checked you out on Facebook. But there was just, I had some sort of recognition, in the email at least, that, oh, this is someone who uses I don't know. It's like, you write the way I write.
Right.
Or via how you write, I can tell that like your brain works the same way mine does.
Right.
Like I could have written the email that you sent me.
Yeah,
it would have been weird, but
and I felt comfortable.
It's like a cadence almost.
I felt comfortable being myself in early email. Like I felt comfortable revealing more of myself earlier with you than I would have with anyone else. For that reason, because I just knew that. It would be understood by you. The
funny thing is that makes it sound like we had some like long correspondence and fell in love online, which is not at all how it happened.
Right.
We had exchanged a few emails. I took notice of you because I get a lot of emails, but you stood out in a way where I was like, I'm looking up someone who's emailed me on Facebook. Like I felt weird.
I did
about
include
it
a picture of ducklings.
That's right.
So
you did.
That helped.
It didn't actually.
Oh shit!
I mean, I appreciated it, but
I thought it was the ducklings.
I appreciated the ducklings, but I'm just saying. Well, so then I tweeted that I was going on a date. It was during the Tournament of Rosen, which was this thing on the Adam Carolla show where I was getting set up. But I tweeted something about I'm going on a date off tournament because I'd met someone wasn't part of the tournament, and I tweeted something about that. And before I left for the date, I received an email from you where you asked me out. Sort of. I mean, what you said, I think you said something like, could I be so bold as to suggest like we should get dinner or something? I think that we would get along. And then you went on, like about me. I'm 37, You made a joke about not having any luggage or baggage, but you have a Samsonite with a broken zipper. you know, you had gotten out of a relationship, you work in the you work in the industry as well, so you're not just some creep. Like you kind of explained everything. And I was so happy when I received it. I did think I totally want to meet him. I don't know if I don't know if I can just meet. Like, I was happy to see that you felt that, because I felt a connection as well. But I didn't know if I could just meet someone who had just emailed me. But it made me happy because I was going out on that date, and I was like, oh, if there's something back at home to think about. And then I got home, and I think you had already taken it back. Like, very quickly, you sent an email, like, apologizing, which was not necessary, saying you're too eager sometimes, and you don't know why you didn't think of this sooner, but you had just started a publishing company and you were looking for a writer to write a certain kind of book, and you think I might be right for it. Is that something I'd be interested in?
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, the eager part is, you know, that's me being afraid because I was putting myself out there in this way that I'm not comfortable with. And I think that I probably sent that email, I'm trying to remember, because I just thought, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, honestly. But I think immediately it felt like I was being way too forward, and that, you know, I don't even know you, and here I am asking you out on a date. It just seemed really like not what I wanted to be doing. Not that I didn't want to be asking you out, but again, I thought I was going crazy. So, but I did have this thing that was brewing, and I thought that you would be perfect for it. And I thought, I thought, geez, I should remove the romantic part from this, because that wouldn't be, I just didn't think that would be professional. Yeah, I just felt awkward about it. So that's why I took it back.
Well, so then, and I knew it was a legitimate thing you were talking to me about, and I also knew that you liked me. But it gave me a way to get to know you without feeling pressure or creeped out. Not creeped out is too strong, but without any pressure, because it was like a legitimate potential book thing. And then, you know, eventually we met in person to talk about it. And I know that I got in the car afterwards, and I like instantly wanted to text you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I just felt like, and we pretty much never stopped talking.
Yeah, it was pretty much exactly what I thought would happen, which is weird, because that's never happened in my life, honestly. But it's like meeting you and talking with you, it was just like, yeah, we just clicked. It was just like there was a connection there. I've said this before to you, but it's like it felt like I had this weird sensation of experiencing something as it was happening, but also feeling like it had already happened. Like I was, like, everything now felt inevitable between us. I don't know how to. It sounds crazy, but that was the feeling, and so that made me I felt kind of amused in this weird detached kind of way, because I felt like I was observing things as I was experiencing them. But yeah, it was like, and I didn't feel, for that reason, I never felt like in any way like there had to be games played. I didn't feel like, you know, I have to wait. Like we could just keep talking. Like it just felt easy. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah, there was an inevitability about it. All those questions and should I do this or what does this mean that had marked all of my earlier relationships, it just wasn't there with you. It just was. I was not confused by anything. It was just, there was one, not confused is not the right, is the wrong word, but there was one point, it was early on, you said something like, we've been hanging out a lot, and I think you said something like, I probably need a few days to, not to myself, you didn't say that, but like to focus on my work, or maybe it'll be a few days till we hang out or something like that. And I wondered, is this where I'm not going to hear from you anymore?
I remember that.
But it was, after no, I don't know. It was after we slept together. But it wasn't like immediately, but it was like so something had changed, you know.
Oh, and you okay?
Well, it was just almost like a vestigial, like an old sort of. Just I wasn't really worried. I just thought, I wonder,
Right.
but I didn't. Like I said, I wasn't worried. It was just this sort of feeling of, oh, sometimes this happens. But
Yeah.
then, you know, you texted me and then we were texting back and forth, but I had my guard up a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, so when can I see you again?
Well, you were more cautious than I was
Yeah.
the whole time, which was smart. I was a stranger. Like I would want you to be cautious. So I understood. Like
Well, at that point, though, that was later that I'm talking about. Or maybe
see, I
I
don't
can't
remember- I don't
remember
remember
the
what you're talking
order.
about.
I know that everything felt like it was moving slow, or did it feel like it was moving fast? It was definitely it felt disjointed,
I think it was moving fast, but it felt like it was
moving slow. Yeah, that's what it was.
'Cause when
Because we
we-
were seeing each other so frequently.
Right.
We were seeing each other so frequently that it seemed like it was slow, but really it's like, oh, like this has moved fast in the space of a few weeks or
Right.
something.
Like when you go back and
Although we were just friends for the first couple months because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can't be in a relationship right now, and et cetera.
right. Yeah.
But then that all changed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not when we slept together. Now I feel like I just need to lay it out. That was later, but maybe
Yeah.
not that much later. I
Yeah.
can't remember anymore.
Yeah, you didn't give it up quick. No, it was a proper amount of time. It was, I think, well, because I also wasn't necessarily trying to push it in a romantic direction. I mean, I wanted it to happen, but I didn't.
But it being dating,
Yeah,
being more than
a
friends.
relationship. Like, I don't. I wanted that to happen, but I also felt like the important thing was that we know each other and that we, you know, are like in each other's life. Like I wasn't sure necessarily until. Now I guess I kind of was sure, but I didn't. It's weird because I didn't have It's a strange thing. I didn't have the expectation, so I didn't feel.
You didn't have an agenda.
Yeah, I didn't feel
That's
like
what I felt. Like I felt like there was no pressure, which I had never really experienced before.
right because I didn't. It's such an odd thing.
But then on my birthday, you did tell me how you felt.
Yeah, I think I needed to lay it out there, and just so that it could be spoken and we could deal with it. I felt with you, and this has always been the case with you, which is, you're not someone who likes things to be unspoken. So I didn't think that saying anything would make anything happen, but I didn't want you to think that I was not having romantic feelings about you.
Lest I was also having them about you.
No,
and-
I just wanted it to be out there. I mean, you didn't have to do anything with it, but it was. I don't know. I just felt like I needed to be honest about how I felt. Mm-hmm. So, which is scary because you just don't know, what a person's how they're gonna react. But I also didn't feel like you were going to do anything that would have been hurtful or rejecting. So I felt sort of safe saying that. And I think I felt that you felt the same way too. So maybe it wasn't such a risk.
Well, so I told you is that I couldn't be in a relationship, or I didn't think I should date anyone. My life was in so much upheaval. Crazy shit was happening. I had just moved back. I was living at my parents' again, helping take care of a sick relative. And just like, I felt like my whole world had been turned upside down. And I was so happy for this connection that I had with someone. I hadn't felt that in so long. And I was really enjoying it on a friendship level, but not just friendship. But I hadn't categorized it in my head, but it wasn't here's this guy that I want to date. Like, I didn't put it in that category. But when I would get a text from you, like, I would get excited and look forward to seeing you in the way that was more akin to someone that you do have those feelings for. So I think I explained all that, and I said that I don't believe in the friend zone. I think if people are meant to be together, they will be eventually. And I still believe that. I think. I believe that if something's meant to be together, eventually it just will between two people. And that I hadn't crossed anything off the list. Like, I wasn't defining it in any way. I haven't closed the door to anything. Maybe those are my words.
Yeah,
Did you feel reassured by what I said?
Yeah. Well, we kissed. So
But that, yes. So, well, that was like despite everything I said.
okay. Yeah, your response was kind of what I was expecting, honestly. Like, I didn't think I didn't say it thinking like you were just going to melt and be like, "Okay, take me in your arms," let's have it was more like, I don't know, I just felt like it needed to be said, but it didn't beg a response, of you telling me that you felt the same way or anything. It was, so when you were saying that you weren't ready for a relationship, it was like, I kind of knew that.
Right.
So, it wasn't like you were I understood where you were with all of that stuff.
Well, so then I hugged you goodbye, and then, like, I turned. I think you were going to kiss my cheek, and I turned or something.
Yeah.
And then we kissed, and then we've been together ever since. But
Right.
that was, like, not how that was not, the point of what I said was, this is not going to be happening, at least not for a while.
Yeah, that's my tip to guys who are trying to get ladies. Confuse them. Make them, I think that I was going in for just a peck on the cheek and you thought I was going to kiss you.
I don't know.
That's
It
what I was
surprised
saying.
me.
Yeah.
But and then we've been together ever since. So that's the part that makes me wonder my whole friend zone thing. It's like my thing of, I don't believe in the friend zone. If people are meant to be together, they'll be together. But it was something physical that was like, maybe those aren't contradictory, because it's like, well, what if you had listened to what I said exactly and were like, I'll keep my lips way over here, then would I have gone home? Would we have would we have gotten together? I think eventually that moment would have happened anyway.
Well, I think I interpreted what you were saying as you weren't ready to deal with a relationship right now, but that I didn't take it as I didn't take it as you and I won't be together.
That's what I meant, though.
That we won't be together?
I mean, in the 10 minutes before we actually were together, that is how I meant it. Yeah.
Like ever?
Oh, no, that's not
That's what I
meant.
mean. Like,
no.
I know.
No. I meant I don't know yet.
Right.
I haven't filed it in my head yet.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
any way. Like, I've never felt what I feel with you. I've never been in anything like this. I've never had this sort of magnetic attraction to talk to someone all the time. Like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm not ready to date you, because the minute I start dating someone, then I'm nervous and I have to manage it, and I don't have that in me right now to be that way.
But I was fine with that. I mean, I didn't. Again, it just felt like it was right and that it was going to happen, and I felt like you understood that. So I didn't think that, if it took time for you to come around to the idea of being in a relationship, or and everything that meant, I was okay waiting. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, it's weird.
And right. And then I remember you, you were ready. So then we were clearly together. Mm-hmm. And you said, if it's okay, I'm going to tell people that I have a girlfriend now. And I was like,
Yeah.
I had no problem with you saying that, but I wasn't ready to use the term boyfriend yet.
Yeah, again,
But I also wasn't dating anyone else.
I mean, I think it felt hurried to you at that point, which maybe it was.
I think it was pretty early.
Yeah, it probably was. To me, again, there was just this weird kind of...
Did you already know that we were going to get married at that point? Like, had you gone that far?
I think on some level, yeah. Yeah, I think I did know that. I know it's weird.
Do you have our whole lives planned?
No. I
'Cause I would like to know
honestly,
what
like, I've been thinking a lot about it as we've been kind of getting ready to get married. I think that it's this weird feeling that oh man, it is hard to describe this. Again, it feels like everything's already happened. And we're just living through it in real time. I know that's hokey and silly, but it's like that's how it felt. So that's why I think I was just so confident, because it was just like, I mean, and it was like something I didn't have to talk myself into. It was something that that's what it felt like. So it felt true. So I could be sort of okay with whatever was happening, as you were sort of wrestling with it, but also at the same time I was hurrying things along because I was eager to get our lives started together, I think, on some level. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that makes it sound like you were like putting pressure on me, which you weren't. I think you were ready to move in together before I was. I think when I was looking for my first so I moved back to California from New York, and I was living at my parents' house in Orange County, and I was commuting to LA, and then we started dating, and then I was staying at your place a lot, and I wanted to get my own place so that I did not have to do this insane commute. But I think a little bit you probably felt like, well, why don't we just get a place? Because it's so clear that we're together. Whereas I felt like I have to have my own place, and then we'll move in together. It was like it was just sort of, that's just the order you go in. Like, I just had to do it. I had to, because I was on my own in New York. So I had to create that same independence in LA and before being with you, or else I felt like it would do something unright. It would put in a weird pressure on our relationship. And that's why I felt like I couldn't date you while I was, straight from my parents either. Like, I felt like I want to know that I love you for you, not I love you because you're not my parents. Does that make sense? Like, right. I want to be able to evaluate this when I'm in a stronger position, not just I am drowning and you're a lifeline. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not that I ever really thought it was that, but I just felt like I'm in such a period of turmoil that, and I realize to the listeners, you might be like, what was the big deal? But there's more than I am really at liberty to talk about. Right. So I felt like I'm on shaky ground. I'm in turmoil. How can this be the moment that I meet the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? Right. Any choice I make right now is potentially suspect. So I was trying to sort of protect you from that. But
I understood that. Like when you told me that, when you said, I want to wait to make it officially boyfriend girlfriend, or I want to get my own place. I got it. Yeah. I understood where you were coming from, and it made sense to me. So, yeah.
I'm yawning. It's just, if we can't have kids because I'm so fucking old, it'll be because of that extra year that I had to live on my own in that shitty place in the Hollywood Hills.
And I will resent you for the rest of our lives.
I know. I remember when I found out I had endometriosis, and before that, we didn't really know. Like, what happened was I had some pain, and so I had a pelvic ultrasound, and they found some cysts on my ovaries. Or no, did they even? I don't know if they knew they were cysts. They just something in there. And then they did my CA-125, which was very high. which is a cancer marker test. But there's all these reasons that it can be artificially high, so it's really not that good of a test. But endometriosis is one of the reasons it can be high. But we didn't know. Maybe I had cancer. That's always what they suspect.
Right.
When they see something like that. Most likely not, but maybe that. They thought it was probably endometriosis, but they weren't going to know till they went in. And, I had to sign away like it's possible I'll wake up from the surgery. And I had never even had general anesthesia before. It's possible I'll wake up and I'll have no uterus anymore. Like they will have had to take everything because if they find this, then they do this and this. And it's like basically you just sign away your rights to everything. And I remember crying to you and saying like, will you still love me if I can't have kids? Or maybe I just said, maybe I can't have kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might have to get my uterus out.
Did I say yes?
You did.
Oh.
And then I had you sign something.
Yeah.
It was very sweet, though, because it was early. Wasn't that pretty early?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. I think it was like
It was
maybe 9 months in.
December.
Yeah.
So was that?
No, maybe less.
Yeah.
It was early.
Yeah, it was really early.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean,
Turns out I
that's
still
but
have
that
my
just.
uterus, though. So
But I think that just speaks to how quickly we got close. I mean, everything with you has been like that. Like, I mean, meeting the people, the important people in your life, I always meet them in crisis.
well, we can talk about that. I mean, the first time you met my parents, my dad had been admitted to the hospital.
Yeah, I met
because
him
he
in the
was
emergency
having
room or something.
Atrial fibrillation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Right.
yeah.
Which is actually not a hugely dangerous thing, but I forget why. But it does have to be monitored or handled or something. He's had it a few times, but because he'd had a heart attack years before, everyone's always very nervous about his heart. Even though his
Right.
heart's in he has stents and his heart's in good shape, but it's
Right.
just. It's all very it's like I think we all have a little bit of PTSD ever since the initial heart attack, which really, really should have killed him. Thank God he was fine. Yeah. Thank God my mom saw that he was coming in and out of consciousness and got taken care of. But had he been home alone, he would not have lived. So anyway, yeah. So my mom called me crying and freaking out, and so then you drove me down there, and that was when you met my parents at the hospital.
Yeah, and it was like
right the first time you met Trevor, he was going.
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
like I think each time with Trevor and with your folks, it's like there we skipped past that part where
you have the luxury of trying to present a certain
right,
self.
like I'm walking in and I'm trying to be impressive, and and they're nervous and everybody's awkward and we're getting to know. It was just like, he was on a gurney. He had things hooked up to him. It was like, okay, here we are. And they couldn't have been more welcoming, and it was just very comfortable right out of the gate. And I think that's just with you and I is weird, but all of that stuff that people go through where it's, I don't know. It was just like intimacy, like
right away.
emotional, like not feeling that insecurity, not feeling like you have to play games or put up fronts. Just that all that was gone in every aspect of our relationship. So, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you want to do Just Mirror Everyone?
We can.
Because you have some, right?
I mean, I put something together if we were going to do it.
Let's tell the people that I'm going to have my fucking period at our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I have to say that is because, I have a nervous tick where I have to reveal embarrassing things.
Mm-hmm.
But also because I have this horrendous headache right now from the headphones on my ears. And I've noticed I only get it when I'm premenstrual. I don't know what that is. I don't know if my head expands. It's weird. Just want to share that with everyone.
Your ears become sensitive.
You actually don't. You feel like I talk about periods too much on the show, right? It's been a while since I've talked about that, but I feel like that was a critique perhaps you shared with me. And you didn't like the word cyst.
I am not a person that has a lot of... I don't love hearing about medical issues or anything to do with blood or, growths. So it's just like, to me, I'd just rather not.
But see, okay.
But, I get it. I always joke, if men had periods, we would never stop hearing about periods. Periods would be a nonstop topic of conversation. But because of the way men and women are socialized in our culture, talking about periods is this crazy,
transgression.
Yeah, and it's just like,
insane that
imagine
it
how
is.
much you'd talk about it, how much Adam would talk about it if men had
God.
periods. I mean, Jesus Christ, it would be nonstop. So for that reason, I think go ahead, talk about it, because, it should be talked about if it's a big part of your life. But I don't know. It's blood.
I can't handle blood.
Yeah, it's just.
So it's weird. Like, I can't handle blood and viscera and all that. Like, I get like if someone's finger is bleeding, I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
Right.
Periods, fine with though. How often do I wear something light colored? Like, never. Mm-hmm. I'm just hoping against hope that the stress will make it not come till a few days later.
See,
But
now if
this
you'd gotten a
weird
dress,
headache.
if you'd gotten a dress with a bunch of tulle on it, you could wear diapers underneath that really covered it up.
I know.
Oh well.
Well, you still haven't seen the dress. We have more puff than you think.
Maybe
All
that's
right.
why they did that back in the day with the structured dresses.
Right. Okay, let's do Just Me or Everyone.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
All right. What'd you say?
Oh, I had a couple, but they're on my phone.
Oh.
The guys took my
Oh,
phone.
you said they're on my phone. I thought you were like, Chris and Gary are on your phone. I was like, I don't think they're on your
Oh,
phone.
no. Thanks, man. Okay. So how does this go?
All right.
I never
so
listen to your
if you-
show, so I don't know.
If you want to share one, you can.
Well, my first Just Me or Everyone is that song sounds to me like Gary is singing it.
We get that a lot.
Yeah, so I like to pretend that Gary is singing all the songs on your show, even though I love Trap Dog.
That's so funny. We get that one a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the same kind of
I've
voice.
officially never gotten that once, and I've never heard that.
Really? Maybe people think Matt's singing it. I swear I've read it before.
I believe you. They've never tagged me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting.
Whenever I'm around a lady who's wearing a lot of perfume, I assume she has a stinky butt. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I was thinking today, I thank parking attendants after I give them money, and then I immediately feel like a fucking jackass for thanking them for taking my money. I don't know why I thank them.
Yeah. For what? Attending your parking?
Yeah, for taking, and I was thinking we need some sort of a word for that. That not thank you, because I'm not, fuck you. You're taking my money for parking. Usually it's too much.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Just,
Ta.
But I don't want to be rude, but
Right.
usually, I don't know.
Take care.
Good day.
Good day, yeah. I don't know. You want more?
We can go to the
I
ones
love
on the
this.
screen.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
if you have more.
Well, my only other one is I'm constantly terrified that I'm misremembering people's names, even if they just told me
I
their
have
name.
that.
Yeah, it's like I don't.
Sorry, I yelled.
Yeah, I don't trust my own memory enough.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was thinking we should have we should have it in our culture where a person tells you their name, and then as you're saying goodbye, they remind you of their name instead of just at the beginning. Because I'm not listening to anything you're saying
right.
at the beginning.
I know.
I'm
Me
just
neither.
thinking. I'm looking at your face or something. Like I'm distracted.
That's the only thing that holds any appeal for me for like something like Google Glass is that someone can say their name and then it will display across their forehead for the first like 5 minutes that I have to talk to them.
That is good.
God,
That's my dream. That's the world I want to live in.
that. You know what my tagline for Google Glass is?
What?
A kick me sign for your face.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, like I'm not saying I would wear Google Glass, but I look forward to 10 years down the road when it's not gross looking.
Yeah, that would be great though.
Yeah. Because I have that problem for
Maybe
sure.
Siri could start listening at the appropriate
Siri's
times.
a bitch. Fuck Siri.
Jason Dix says, if my arm starts to hurt, I quickly note whether it's my left or right arm to assess if it's a heart attack or not. I do that too.
I don't do that.
You don't?
No.
I don't even think it's 100% that if you're having a heart attack, your left arm will hurt. But because I've heard
Is
that.
it supposed to be your left?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, now I will be doing that.
Right. But I don't know what kind of pain it is exactly.
It's supposed to be numbness, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
Well, I do that.
Huh. I should probably read up on what you feel when you're... Do you
No.
ever do that where you want to know what the symptoms are of things so that you can be prepared?
Do I ever not?
See, I don't do that.
Oh, really?
But I feel like I've been thinking lately that I should be doing that.
I feel like I know a lot of people who diagnose their own appendicitis. I'm ready.
See, I feel like those things I would probably die because I tend to not want to believe that it's anything serious. So I'd be like, I'm fine, and then dead.
Yeah. Okay, let me know if you feel anything weird.
Yeah, I will.
Christian says, when I pee, if it's super clear, I won't flush. That's a waste of water.
But what about the smell?
Oh, like clear asparagus pee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flushing the pee thing is...
I mean, for a lady, there's always toilet paper in there, so...
So you know. Well, it's not about whether you know it's in there. It's about whether... about whether it should be flushed or not, right?
Yeah, I would just flush. Just flush, I say.
Yeah. If it's not stinky and it's clear, I might not flush.
I don't always flush. I let it mellow a little too often, but that's just laziness. Mm-hmm. But I try to get in the habit because I'm afraid that I'm not... I just figure I'll just catch it on the next one.
I think you...
But then it's like, then you get into a bad habit and you'll be in public and you'll forget.
Well, I feel like you don't flush at night because you don't want to flush. And
I don't
wake
want to
me
make
up.
noise. Yeah, that's true. But sometimes in the date. But I had to break myself of a years-long habit of, like, not flushing always when I lived alone and stuff.
I invented something the other day, speaking of toilets. I invented... Because I was thinking, I was in a rush to get somewhere, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if you could collapse all the things you have to do in the morning? I was like, what if you had a toilet in the shower?
Many people act as if they do.
No, but to go number 2.
Oh, right.
So you shower while you shit.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm telling you, that would save precious minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
It's like a bidet shower.
yeah, and then you're clean right away. You don't
Right.
even have to waste paper.
Smart.
Yeah.
Mark Bazinski says, I sometimes get so excited to take a nap that I'm unable to fall asleep. Yeah, I feel like I know what you mean. Dr. Schmoop says, if someone tries to recall a movie, TV show, etc., and I know it, I sometimes pretend I don't I sometimes pretend I don't know either to appear less nerdy.
No.
I don't do that, but what I will do is if someone is really excited about something they saw and they act like they're bringing it up, like they're introducing it to me, I'll sometimes act like I don't know it because I don't want to take that pleasure away from them that they're obviously getting of introducing this thing to me that I'm already aware of.
That's good for little kids.
Yeah. I treat everyone like they're a little kid.
Marina Del Serra says, I hate when the drive-thru person forgets to give me a straw. Fountain soda is meant to be consumed through a fat straw. Well, I mean, how else do you drink it if not through a straw?
It's never happened to me.
Yeah, that's... JV, check your bag.
Well,
I mean,
the trick-
most places give it to you with the straw, and if they don't, you have to check immediately.
The reason they don't, they probably just forget because a lot of places they give you the straw last, so you don't drink while they're getting all your other stuff and ask you to refill it. So
Oh, I didn't know
A lot
that.
of drive-thrus, I think I heard like they give you the straw last, so yeah, you can't consume your drink while you're waiting.
Wait, so people will sit in the drive-thru, pound their soda,
Yeah.
and then hand it back and say refill it?
Yep.
Kind of animals.
When's the last time you went through a drive-thru? I feel like it's been years for me.
I've probably been at Taco Bell in the last 6 months or something, but yeah.
Be a Little Less Slammin' says, I try to pick which Thursday personality I am most like, Sex and the City style. I like to think I'm a Gary, but I know I'm such a Matt. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gary, do you do that?
No,
I'm such a Matt.
I know I'm not a Matt.
We should come up with a quiz or something. If we had an app, we could have
Yeah.
a quiz on it.
I just took one of those quizzes, and it was Game of Thrones, like which Game of Thrones character are you? What Game of Thrones character do you think I am?
Well, that would
You
require
don't
that
even know.
give me some options.
Nah, you don't even know.
You're not Joffrey. No, we can talk. You're not a Joffrey.
You're fair skinned. Could be a Joffrey.
You're
No,
you're
not
Tyrion.
You're not an asshole.
No,
You're Rob.
I'm Daenerys.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what put it over the top for me, I think, is that it asks you if you treat your pet like a child.
there you go.
I think that's why I'm Daenerys.
Where did you take this quiz?
Just online. So I'm going to work.
Now I want to take it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Tony DeCoste says, when I crack an egg, Gary, remind me on a Thursday show that we should talk about, and Chris, what are some questions that would go on our Who, Which One Are You quiz?
Okay.
Tony DeCoste says, when I crack an egg, I need to pick out the gross-looking white stuff. What the fuck is that? Umbilical cord? And there's a photo up there of the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that is what it is. I mean, it's not a fertilized egg, but it is what attaches the yolk to the shell, I think.
Is it?
I don't know.
Nah.
It's where the flavor is.
Fucking eggs.
Yeah.
They're good. Who gives a shit?
That's good
Yeah.
eating.
It's not really where the flavor is. B. Slammin says, I rarely light candles because I know. Okay. I rarely light candles because I know that when I blow them out, the steaming black wick makes an unpleasant scent. Well, I will light a candle, but I know what you mean. There's a weird.
Yeah.
It's like the candle repeats on you.
You got to cut that part off. I used to keep scissors near the candle and just snip it off, and then it'll. Because sometimes it'll go on and on. If you've had that candle lit for a
Yeah.
long time, it'll go on and on and on.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for doing my show.
Thank you.
I have the worst headache ever in the entire universe.
Well, I don't know. We'll take something for it.
I just had to say that because I'm dying. But how do you feel?
I hope it was good.
It was
I
good.
hope it was interesting.
Hasn't this been a welcome break from all the wedding planning craziness,
Yeah.
which we need to get back to right when we get home?
It's nonstop.
But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I hope this was
Yeah.
fun for the listeners.
Sorry it took so long for me to come on,
It's okay.
but here I am.
Here you are. If you're going to buy something on Amazon, perhaps an egg or a candle or a Game of Thrones DVD or what have you, click through the banner on my website, AlisonRosen.com. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help out the show. We have a ringtone available.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
You can get that by searching Hey Go Fuck Yourself from your iPhone in the iTunes store. We have a special bonus episode, which we recorded live at the LA Podcast Festival with Doug Benson and Matt Costa and Gary and Matt and Chris and me. And the genesis of the butter sandwich debate is on that episode. So if you're a fan of the show and you haven't listened to that episode, then I don't know what kind of fan you are. It's only $1.99. You can get that by searching the comedy album, or by going to the comedy album section of the iTunes store. And you can follow me on Twitter at Alison Rosen. You can follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF. You can follow Gary at G. Patrick Smith. For Chris,
Check out the Thursday show. Daniel's coming back.
that's right. I think I forgot to plug the Amazon. I forgot to plug Amazon on the Thursday show. So you guys
Click on it twice.
go twice. Yeah.
Bookmark it.
If not more. Yeah, and bookmark it. And Daniel, do you want to tell them where to follow you,
You
or
can
whatever?
follow me on Twitter at Daniel Quantz or Instagram for pictures of our sweet little puppy.
Thank you so much. And thank you, listeners. I love you. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Thank you for choosing the Allison Rosen show. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. That's right. Those good times don't seem to show.